May the grace and the peace of God the Father and the Son Jesus our Lord be with you today as we continue in the book of Ezekiel chapter 18 from verses 24. Top of the morning to you guys out there. This is your cup of Joe. Good morning to the evangelist Dexter Friday, Sam Reed, Rosa, and to the entire Homebase Ministries network across every social media spectrum. And good morning to the Pastor Earl Richardson of the Enrock family. Top of the day to you guys. We are at verse 24. And it says, after Ezekiel writes that the Lord takes no pleasure in the condemnation of persons, he then writes that although patience and mercy is exercised, that when the righteous sins, understood to be turning away from his good works and turns to evil doings, as the ungodly do, called here the wicked man, then his wickedness or unrighteousness shall blow out his righteous works. He writes that his works shall not be mentioned. You need to pay attention to the word when at the beginning of the verse to indicate that iniquity is inevitable, and the words that he hath done in the line with the mention to really understand that it was about what the man did that was being emphasized, to which, as you should realize by now, was a system that proved to fail, as all of the righteous works of a man could be balanced or equalized and overtaken by unrighteous acts, and in the reverse order also. So there was always a looming uncertainty under the system of works of righteousness. And once the wicked outweighed the righteous, in them he shall die. There was always that leveling out to be considered. Verse 25, Ezekiel then writes that then they say that the way of God handles things is not equal, that it's not fair. He says, yet ye say the way of the Lord is not equal. Hear now, O Israel, is not my way equal? And the terms their ways unequal. The way they want things to be judged on their own terms. And that's basically how we are. Okay, so here what's taking place. Although a man had the opportunity to do what is right, which would overshadow his wrong and completely erase or cause it to be forgotten, the process also worked in the same manner when the same man does wrong. So the individual was responsible for the result of his own saving by what he did, called his works of righteousness. You understand? To which, although was fair, seeing that they could have been responsible for the outcome, however, the same found it to be unfair or unequal, a method of reckoning, seeing that any act of sin could have caused eternal separation. So, seeing that this was presented by God for man, who determined it like that, man realized that although it was a balance and overtake system, it was not a guarantee for salvation. A man being responsible for his salvation by righteous works was not a guaranteed system. It proved to fail because any manner of sin could have overturned your entire lifestyle of being righteous. Although your own fate was in your own hands, it was not to them equal, as they said. What do you think? Is it fair in that regard that you have the opportunity to determine where you go by what you do? Or are you like Israel, finding that God's ways were unequal? Because still today there are a lot of silly people who find that having the responsibility of maintaining their own salvation, their own eternal security, makes sense, and with much ferocity and try to attend to the law and works, running after a failed system. It didn't work then and it will not work now. So when the question is asked to man, are not your ways equal? Meaning, is it not the way you want things to be done unfair, or the unfair thing? Seeing that you find that you should be able to do wrong and wickedly and still get all the good things of the Lord along with it, are we mad and unable to see the error of our ways? Mankind is a very unfair and contemptible being, and it truly has to be an immeasurable kind of love or something towards us that God has that causes him to be so tolerable with us. Man then did not deserve God's mercy, and man now does not deserve God's mercy. We take it all for granted, when in fact we deserve constant chastening and punishment, if not for the sins we commit for just thinking any flicker at all that we are good. You understand what I'm saying? So we gotta check ourselves and really understand and give God glory for all that he has done, for the mercy, for his compassion, and for his grace In Jesus' almighty name, I'll see you guys tomorrow. This is Pastor Solomon De La Rosa in God's grace.